Hello, everyone, and welcome back. For those who actually stayed sub, I don't know if this is even going up or not, but welcome back to this show that I'm sporadically hosting. I am Sean, and with me today is my best friend in the whole wide room, Glitch. How you doing?
Hey, doing okay, I guess.
Good. I tried to have this ready for in 7 day, but unfortunately, schedules and life problems got in the way. But I learned that Mass Effect 1 recently celebrated its 15th anniversary recently, which made me feel really, really old. So, gotta get out of the first minute without strong profanity. So I'm refraining from cursing, but, I figured I would get together with a friend and we would rank Mass Effect characters, who have had a profound impact on us just in general. So, that's what we're going to do today. So, as you can see, I have the various tiers. We have S rank, A, B, C, D, and then we have a special column, Kai Lang.
Okay. I was wondering what that was all about.
Yeah, there's only, I assume you can guess, there's only one person who belongs there, and that's Kai Lang. Am I about to have a Kai Lang defender in my house? I may not have a best friend in the whole wide room.
I actually...
Well, we can have that discussion when we get to it.
I'm trying to remember. That was the Cyber Ninja
That's
guy,
the
right?
cyborg ninja that makes no sense and doesn't fit the actual context of the world.
Okay. See, I'm going to be really handicapped in this discussion because I literally haven't... I played through the first game twice, but the second time was still like 10 years ago or more.
Right.
And then I've only played through the number 2 once, and that was not long after release, and the same with number 3.
Okay.
So it's all a little fuzzy at this point.
Okay. Well, we will...
Although the Mass Effect trilogy is, I will go to my grave saying it is a fantastic, unprecedented accomplishment in video game history. So I have great love for the franchise. I just don't remember it all that well necessarily.
Well, that's what we're gonna test and see where we fall on character development wise and see who we like best. But to start us out, we have Alec Ryder, who is a character from Mass Effect Andromeda. You said you didn't play Andromeda.
No, I never played Andromeda.
Okay, that's
so I have no.
It's fine. Andromeda is not everyone's cup of tea. I found it to be decent.
I hope it's decent. At some point, I will play it. It's like Dragon Age Inquisition. It's not that I made a personal decision not to play it. I haven't gotten to it yet.
I may have a series in the works then, because I have it. But anyway, Alec Ryder is on here because he is voiced by Clancy Brown, a.k.a. the Kurgan from Highlander, as well as many, many other things. More people probably know him as Mr. Krabs, but I know him as... Red Death from Venture Brothers and from Highlander.
The funny thing is, it was within the last couple of days with my girlfriend. I was watching an episode of Star Wars Rebels. We've been working through Rebels, and she identified somebody as being voiced by Clancy Brown, and I was like, "Wait, who?" And she's always lists off all these things that various people that I don't recognize have been in, but I had to stop her. She said the Kurgan. I was like, oh, okay, no, I'm good.
Okay. But yeah, he automatically goes at least into a C tier character. Like he's one of the people who gets the plot going for the most part. And so I think he deserves to be, he's not a bottom tier character in my opinion. Plus, Clancy Brown will always deliver you an A+ performance no matter what he is doing.
I have to leave that entirely in your hands.
Okay.
I have no basis.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and spoil you guys for something. A lot of the Andromeda characters are going to probably end up in D because I don't remember much about them. But next on our list is Anderson.
Captain Anderson?
Captain Anderson.
He's got to be A or S. I mean, there's no argument for lower than that.
Normally, I would say he'd be an A tier, but because he is voiced by Keith David, who, again, does no wrong in his performances, I'm going to go ahead and say S tier character.
I can't disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fantastic.
He is. I genuinely like him. I think he provides a good foil for Udina, who I wish they kind of did more with in the series in general. Like, I get that you can't make everything a political drama, but I definitely kind of wanted some more of that behind the scenes stuff that happens between them. But
I feel like if there was going to be more of Udina, it should have been restricted to the first game. I feel like Udina really is a character who doesn't need to proceed along with the trilogy, but we could have done with some more Udina in the first game.
Yes. Next up, Arya T'Loak. Omega. Voiced by Carrie Ann Moss. Trinity from The Matrix.
Okay.
I kind of wish I had cameras going because I could show you guys the confused look on his face.
I'm just... Which game did that character come in at?
Mass Effect 2.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Was she the one that owned like the nightclub asteroid?
Yeah, she's that's Afterlife.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't really remember her, so I'm gonna have to say C or less.
Yeah, I think that's fine. She has a good bit in Mass Effect 3's Mass Effect 3 DLC where Cerberus overruns Omega.
See, here's another handicap that I have. I didn't get to play any of the Mass Effect 3 DLC, and I only got to play about half the Mass Effect 2 DLC.
That's fine.
So,
that's fine. No, I think Arya's again a fine character, and I think C tier is a good place for her.
I kept waiting. The reason why I haven't played the DLC is I kept waiting for like a complete edition, like Dragon Age Origins complete, and that it would go on sale that I could pick up and get the full everything and play through it again with all that DLC or whatever. And it just never happened. It just never happened. Year after year, it never happened. And I sure as hell wasn't going to pay $10 per DLC for X number of DLC and all this. No way.
I enjoyed it enough where at the time I had enough disposable income I could afford those. So I was like, you know what? I like this series. At the time I liked BioWare, and like I wasn't big into following a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and so a lot of the whole BioWare magic I didn't know about. And if I had known that they were crunching their developers to hell and back, I probably would have made a harder stance then, but I did not. But
well, of course, that's just industry wide.
Yeah, that's an industry problem.
Well, I mean, indies don't necessarily do it that way, but anybody big name.
That's true. But that's a discussion for another video. Ashley Williams. I have a feeling we might be divisive on this.
I'm not very much a fan of Ashley.
I don't mind Ashley.
I don't hate her.
I think she's a B tier character at least.
That's I can't go that far.
I
think she's C. I think she's C.
Hear me out. She goes through a better character arc than most of your squad mates get. From where she starts out in Mass Effect 1 to where she ends up in Mass Effect 3.
Well, see, but I didn't have her in Mass Effect 3. Because I killed her in Mass Effect 1.
Oh, okay. She actually goes through a really good character arc. Where she follows the same path Kaidan does. I find her to be infinitely less whiny than Kaidan, though.
Well, see, I don't see how, unless you were romancing Ashley and was allowing that to color your command decisions, I don't see any broad logical argument for saving Ashley over Kaidan in Mass Effect 1. I mean, it's an officer versus an enlisted. That's black and white right there. And then plus he's one of humanity's only biotic users.
I don't know if I'd say only. I mean, he's one of the prominent ones, but that's because he's like,
well, they make a big deal
character.
In all the character encyclopedia stuff, talking about how rare it is, and they had this particular, like he was one of the first generation ones, but I really got the impression that there's just not a whole lot of humans in general. That
maybe
can do
not a
biotics.
whole lot, but I don't know.
I mean, he is so much more crucial to the mission. She's just a grunt, and I'm sorry. But when you have to pick between an officer that has a specialization in something that humanity is just now exploring, and could very well be vital to your particular mission, versus somebody who's good with a gun.
Counteroffer. Liara is infinitely better in everything Kaidan does.
Okay.
And I can have Ashley use more guns while I'm using my biotic powers.
Well, see, I wasn't a biotic user.
That's your fault.
Some
of us chose to play the handicap their first time through.
No, see, my character was a Navy man. He was a straight, through and through Navy man. Career Navy. And the story, in many ways, does not seem to quite work right if you're not... if you have engineer special abilities or biotic special abilities. It just feels weird.
I'll agree.
Like, the story pretty much seems to assume that you were a soldier. And so that's why I went with it, just for coherence. Because I actually had played briefly before I got to do my actual first playthrough and saw how the story was set up and was like, it feels like it really wants me to be a soldier for plot coherence, narrative coherence. So that's what I'll be.
Okay. All right. You know what? I'll acquiesce. I'll accept a C tier listing for Ashley Williams. I think she's better than what most people give her credit for.
Well, I think C tier is better than most people give her credit for.
This is true. I know a lot of people shit on her and just be like, "Oh, she's just a racist." It's like there's a lot more to that than. And again, I think her.
That's an oversimplification.
I think her character arc definitely goes further than a lot of.
Maybe there would have. Maybe my opinion would be different if I'd had a playthrough that took her into Mass Effect 3 and could see how that played out. As far as Mass Effect 1 goes, it's just the whole it's an oversimplification to hate on her so much, but she's just bland. She just doesn't bring anything.
That's true, but I feel like that's the soldier class in general. Like, it is your shooter class. It is the one that does
I don't mean in terms of the combat mechanics.
Just in personality.
Like she's just got almost nothing going on for her. She's got no hook for her existence.
Well, we will get into that discussion when we get to Caden as well. But in the meantime,
you can level that at Caden too, but not nearly to the same degree.
In the meantime, Steve Cortez, your shuttle pilot.
He was the one that showed up in 3 for the first time, right?
I don't know about for the first time. I think he's in 2 as well, but he's primarily used a lot in 3. He's the one that shuttles you to and from missions.
Okay, well, I can't remember anything good or bad about him, which sounds like a C to me.
He's a decent enough rounded character, I think, for a side character. You get to know him fairly well, and I will give them credit. He's one of the few openly gay characters that is not his entire personality. Yeah,
see, I almost mentioned something about that, but then I didn't want to misremembered it and had that.
Yeah, he's the one that when you're at the remembrance wall on the Citadel, he talks about losing his husband, and it's just a very quick statement, and that's all you get, and it's like, oh, okay, well that's good.
Yeah, well, I definitely support that kind of representation. I feel like I really hate the Will and Grace style. Every person who isn't straight has to.
You didn't want him coming out there going, "Oh, I lost him. It's so tragic."
Yeah. For example,
we grew up in the '90s where representation was not so kind to anyone that wasn't straight.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that that may have been part of the reason it took me so long to realize I wasn't straight, because I was like, I am not like those people at all.
When that's the only kind of thing you see, you kind of have to make yourself wonder. I would say Cortez is a B tier character. Like, I think he's above average for his station. And I think a lot of his character development that happens in-game happens well enough, especially since he only got one game to really be a character. But he is well remembered.
Well, you obviously remember him better than I do.
I do.
So, and B is not far from a C, so I won't argue that.
All right. Matriarch Benezia. Oh, I think we're going to have a disagreement here, because I'm thinking her as a B-tier villain. She is. Now, I will say this is very, very. It necessitates you bringing Liara with you on the Novaria mission.
Yeah, that definitely improves her a lot. I definitely, for sure. And then, of course, there's the fun fact of her being Marina Sirtis voiced
This
by.
is true, yes.
I said that like Yoda. But anyway, being voiced by Marina Sirtis. Definitely.
Troy crashed the ship she did.
you don't see her in a villainous type role very often.
You really don't. I think the only other one I can think of was Gargoyles,
which I haven't seen. So
that's just really surprising.
I know. Yeah, there's only so many hours in the day.
I understand.
And there's so many things.
I'm saying place her in B tier. I know, like if she were more present throughout the game, I think she could be argued for an A tier.
Potentially.
But I think she's a good B tier villain.
Yeah, I can go for that.
All right. Big agreement there. Dr. Chakwas.
Was this the original? You did change up doctors, right? In the game? This was the original one?
Yes.
Oh, only if she dies during the suicide mission in 2
yes.
do you change.
Only
That's right.
That's only... I don't know who you get because I don't want to humble brag on this, but I've never lost that many people.
I think I did end up losing the doctor in the suicide because I refused to replay it. And I also refused to look up any strategy guides or whatever. So I was really pissed off when some of the things like I made perfect sense. Okay, you send this person to do this thing. But apparently that wasn't the logic they had in mind.
Yeah. No, there's some things we could talk about with the suicide mission, but
so I ended up losing her. I think I recall that. As part of the ending of 2, so I didn't have her moving into 3. I had some other doctor. She was, I mean, as a supporting character, I liked her well enough.
I would say she's at least a B tier character.
I can go B. I don't think she had enough of an importance to really and time. Well, again, I lost her, so I didn't have her in 3 apparently. Right. So who knows I don't have any idea what they did with her in 3. But
basically
up to that,
what they did with her in 2.
But no, she was good enough.
All right, we may revisit that one. I may move her into a C tier. I'm not too sure.
That's a hard sell for me to say that she's a C. I think B is exactly where she belongs.
Okay,
personally.
Okay. Let me see. I think that's the. I want to say that's the Asari consort.
Is it?
I think so. Okay. I think so. I made this list a couple of days ago, and I may have lost my notes for it, so I'm going to say that's the consort. Honestly, I think that's going to be a D tier character for me. She gives you a quest.
She gives you 2 in the quests. Game.
She's barely in the game. To
my recollection,
she
could have. She had potential. It wasn't really explored, though. Like, they could have done something interesting with that character, the way they had it set up, and the way everyone talks about her and all this.
Oh, no, God, no. That's the council. It's just got the other 2 cropped out of it.
Like, the council as a whole?
Yeah, the Turian, Asari, and Solarian council. I had to really lean in for that. I'm sorry, everybody. Cut all that, future Sean. I'm not going to cut any of this out.
I mean, they did their job.
Yeah.
Narratively, I mean.
Yeah.
They're
the fact that they are easily replaced by another set of very equally bland humans, I think should label them in D tier. Like, I usually end up saving the council because from a narrative perspective, I think it works better.
Oh, yeah.
But overall, they don't really matter that much. Like, who they are.
I mean, that's one of those things where personally, I felt like you use and this is a problem that I have with people, the way people talk about Mass Effect a lot.
Yeah.
Though, is that just because you don't see it on screen doesn't mean that you should discount it. Like.
True, but I'm also of the opinion that I should not have to do ancillary read or viewing in order to make your character work.
No, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just in the sense of, okay, so saving, let's say, for example, saving the Rachni or not. Okay. Like having them be extinct in your universe or not extinct in your universe after the end of the trilogy, right? Mm. Like you don't really get a follow-up on that, no matter what ending you pick. As far as like what's going to happen with the Rachni or the fact there's no Rachni or whatever, right? But if you think about it for just half a second, that's a very different universe. Even if everything else is identical,
Right.
either the Rachni are extinct or the Rachni are not extinct. That's a big difference that you have to, as part of your, I don't know, it's not exactly suspension of disbelief, but part of engaging with the fiction,
Right,
is the knowledge that you give them that benefit of the doubt that still mattered, even if you didn't see the follow-up yourself.
Right.
There would be differences in the galaxy moving forward. And I feel that's the same way with the Council. And this happens, I mean, obviously, like we were just talking about with the Doctor. The Doctor is replaced by a similar character. Anybody you lose that's particularly important in the suicide mission is replaced by a relatively similar character in the terms of the role they fill and the narrative. But they're, again, you have to, if you're engaging with the fiction, then it has to, the fact that, for example, Dr. Chakwas died,
right,
that means something, even if the game doesn't like throw up a big screen and say, hey, this means something, this is different.
Right.
Burn it into your retinas. It still should mean something when you conceive of your own, playthrough and how the story is.
Okay.
So, sorry, that was a long tangent.
All right. Well, that's what these things are for. I suppose I could see a persuasive argument for them being argued at least into a C tier.
I think C is perfect for them because it's that. I guess in my mind, I'm looking at C as like they fulfilled their narrative purpose without any severe defects.
Okay. Okay. Conrad Werner.
A? S?
Really?
He was great.
Really?
I think A. I think S is a little too generous. Definitely A, though. Yeah.
Oh, we have a very different opinion of Conrad Werner.
Why?
I cannot stand Conrad Werner.
Well, I punched him in the face.
I shoot him in the foot.
Yeah, I think I ended up doing that too. But the point is, that's what my character did.
Right.
As a player, I love this guy.
This was bleed through into how I feel about him. I'm just like, fuck off. He's a whiny little bitch boy.
Well, yeah.
And he's LARPing as what you're doing, and yeah. I'm just like, I don't have time to deal with this.
You know what?
I've got a fucking universe to save. What are you doing out here?
If that character was able to make you feel that way simply by being the character that he was, that's a great character. If a character can make you hate him, not because his character is poorly written, or
we'll get to that.
or shoddy acted, or makes no narrative sense, or anything like that, but you hate him because of the character that he is in the fiction, that's a great character.
I'll concede that. I'll concede that to you. I still don't think higher than a B, though.
I don't know. I felt happy every time I knew Conrad Werner was going to show up again. I feel like that's what A should be. Someone you feel happy when
I'm gonna throw you a bone here. I'm gonna go ahead and put him into A. We might revisit this one later. I might change my mind and like him a little more, but there's a lot I don't like about Conrad Werner, his implementation into the game, and a lot of the things that happen with it. But
well, see, here's the thing you may not have considered. Is that Conrad is like a Funhouse mirror version of Shepard?
No, I got that.
I mean, that's a pretty fair. That's a pretty advanced type of narrative technique for a video game about shooting people.
Now, I'll offer a counter argument. There should be a big difference between being the Funhouse mirror and being the clown that stands behind you in the Funhouse mirror.
I mean, I will agree. It may have been better to separate those two narrative purposes. The clown and the Funhouse mirror. He is pulling double duty, and they do run it somewhat of cross purposes. I don't know. It just.
All right. Well, we'll revisit it. We may discuss it a little further. Cora from Mass Effect Andromeda. She's a human that was raised by a Asari and has biotic powers and is capable of wielding them. That's about all I remember.
Okay.
Cora. You know what? She's just going in D tier. She's going in D tier. I should probably replay Andromeda at some point, but I just don't feel a need to, you know?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the reason why I only replayed Mass Effect 1 and only once, and why I haven't done anything since Legendary Edition came out, even though I was gifted it, is I don't want to taint my memories of my original playthrough. Like, my original playthrough was very specific to me.
Yeah.
It was my story of my Shepard.
Right.
And I found that with other narratively heavy... I basically made that a policy eventually, after playing so many narratively heavy games with large choice mechanics, of I don't replay them. Or if I do, I try to make the exact same choices I made the first time, just to remind myself of what that was like.
Right.
I feel like that gives it a lot more weight. It helps me keep my memory straight of the story, instead of the multiple stories that I've played through.
All right. Diana Allers.
That was the
reporter lady that should have been the one that you meet in Mass Effect 1.
Okay.
But for some reason wasn't, and they said, let's just get this lady in here. I'm going to go DK on this.
I definitely remember having negative feelings towards her.
I don't feel anything negative, but I don't feel anything positive either. Like, she's there and fine, but narratively, she doesn't really serve too much of a purpose. I'm blanking on the actress's name. She did a perfectly fine job portraying the character. All of the line delivery was fine. Everything was good there, but just the character in general, I feel, should have been the one that you help out in Mass Effect 1 with doing some undercover journalism.
So those are two different characters.
They are two very different characters.
Okay.
She was introduced specifically in Mass Effect 3. And again, I'm blanking on the lady's name, but
I guess it's all blurred together for me.
Yeah, she's a decently well-known individual in the video game space, but yeah, she's.
Well, I remember
she's
the very
D-tier.
antagonistic reporter, the one where like you literally couldn't say the right thing.
Well, she's on here. She's on here, so we'll get to her. Drac from Mass Effect Andromeda. He's a Krogan, and he's a lot of fun. He's basically like your wild uncle who comes and helps you out and beats people up. He immediately goes above the normal ones because I love the Krogans so much. They're kind of like the Klingons in my book. They're so dumb. They really shouldn't work, but somehow they do.
I didn't play Andromeda, so
well, this is my personal pick, so he's going in C. Edie.
I should have liked Edie a lot more than I did. I did like Edie.
Yeah, I like the concept that Edie produces.
Yeah.
I think they over-sexualized her.
I think that's only one of a lot of problems that they ended up with.
This is true.
With Edie. I don't... Yeah. They just didn't do anything new, really, with Edie.
Yeah.
That type of character is usually gets to do. So, I mean, I feel like Edie's like a B.
I can understand that.
Like, I have some fondness to her and probably some bias because I like artificial intelligence and all that.
Right.
But, yeah, I felt like they could have had more.
Yeah. No, I get you. No, I definitely would agree there. I think that there's a lot they could have done with Edie that they either didn't do or chose not to. And so, yeah, I think B tier. Oh, I put her in A tier. Whoops. Get down from there. Yeah, she's a B tier. She's a B tier character. Perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable, but real missed opportunities. On the polar opposite end of that, Garrus Vicarian.
I do like Garrus. I feel like I don't like Garrus as much as most people like Garrus.
He is my space husband.
So for me, Garrus is an A. Like, I like him solidly.
I honestly think Garrus is closer to an S tier character.
Well, and that's what most people seem to think about Garrus. I don't know if I didn't.
I'm one of them, so kindly present
some of the stuff.
Kindly present your argument. I'll tell you why you're wrong.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that Garrus isn't a very fun, good character. I don't know. He didn't hit all the notes for me the way he seems to for so many other people.
I think this is going to come down to a personal bias. I like Garrus a lot. I think his character arc is borderline perfect, going from what he goes through in Mass Effect 1 into Mass Effect 2 with the Archangel subplot and his revenge, and how, like, even if you help him out with that, he comes to the realization that this is completely hollow. It doesn't fulfill that burning anger that he has inside him. It doesn't quench that anymore. And into Mass Effect 3, where he kind of becomes one of the only high-ranking Turians left capable of running their military just by virtue of what he's seen.
I think maybe part of the problem with Garrus is I don't get the Turian culture and them as an alien species.
See, I equivalate the Turians to the Romulans.
So I definitely wouldn't have made that connection.
I kind of have them around that similar. I kind of get that similar vibe. They're very much militaristic nature. They've got obviously got their secrets. They're very haughty. Like I personally, I can understand why you wouldn't probably, but I personally see a lot of parallels between the Romulans and the Turians, and I personally love Garrus as a character.
See, if I had to compare them to a Star Trek species,
please do.
The first one that comes to my mind is actually the Cardassians.
You know what? That might actually be a better evaluation.
I like the Cardassians a lot.
I love the Cardassians. I think they're fun.
But I just can't. I don't know. I don't grok the Turians. Not really.
Really?
And I think that maybe is why I don't like Garrus so much. I mean, not that I don't like Garrus. It's just as much as so many other people seem to. Yeah.
Okay. I think we can both agree that he is at the very least an A tier character.
Yeah, I would put him as A.
Okay.
On my own, but
okay.
If you feel strongly enough, I won't begrudge you your
I might reevaluate that. I might reevaluate that at the end. But for now, Grunt.
I didn't use Grunt.
Really?
Because my shepherd was like, this is a terrible idea. I'm not waking that thing up. No way.
You missed out on Steve Bloom being in your party? How dare you, sir?
Look, here's the thing. I knew for meta knowledge
that
it would be fine. But my shepherd didn't have that knowledge. All he knew is that he was waking up basically a super Krogan with no leash or guarantee at all.
See, this is where you and I differ, because mine went with the same knowledge, except I used Rex a lot in my Mass Effect 1 squad, and I love Rex as a character. And so I was like, I get another Krogan? F yeah!
I'm trying to remember.
And he's going to be better than Rex? Which he wasn't, let's be honest.
I think my Rex may have died at the end of Mass Effect 1. In the playthrough. Like, isn't there like a way that you can like...
Yeah, there's a way you can kill him.
I know there's a way you can kill him, but like without like specifically being like, I'm going to execute you.
No, like, Ashley does it.
Well, not my Ashley. My Ashley was dead by that point.
No, it happens before. It happens on Vermeer, the Genophage, or not the Genophage, but the Saren's cloning tanks.
Well, I definitely did what I could to keep the Krogan population down for the exact same reasons that later.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was sitting next to Hitler.
It's a little bit different. Well, this was
explain to me why genocide is okay. Go ahead.
For the good of the entire galaxy, because the only thing The only thing that stopped the Krogan in the first place, it's the same reason that my shepherd kept the Rachni extinct. The only thing that stopped the Rachni in the first place was the Krogan. The only thing that stopped the Krogan was the genophage. Now, what happens if the Krogan come back? Or the Arachni come back, but the Krogan are still genophaged? You know, what's gonna prevent history from repeating itself, right?
I'm astounded. I never knew this about you. I didn't know you were a genocidal madman.
But see, that's the beauty of the genophage, as Morden correctly points out, is that it doesn't wipe out the Krogans. It just keeps them at a low enough level of population that they can't go ham on the entire galaxy single-handedly.
Which, by Morden's own admission, has helped destroy the Krogan in a way that was completely unforeseeable to them.
That's true. But I mean, if it comes to them to one species versus everybody in the galaxy, sorry, species.
Oh my god.
I mean, I'd say the same for humans, too. But
never letting you in charge of the nuke controls, I know that. Anyway, yeah, I'd say I'm thinking at least an A tier for the character.
I got no opinion on Grunt because I didn't use him.
I'm astounded by this
in my Mass Effect.
I am genuinely astounded by this. I'm genuinely interested in what happens when it comes to Legion. So I'm gonna put him in A tier. He's definitely after Garrus, but that's an A tier for now. Admiral Hackett.
I feel Hackett would be at least a B.
Yeah, no, I was sitting about there. Definitely a B tier for Hackett. Voiced by Lance Hendrickson, who is all kinds of wonderful, and in so many, he's Bishop from Aliens. And is in all kind of different things. But yeah, I like Admiral Hackett a lot. I think he's a really good side character. I just wish he was in it a little more. Like, I think that would elevate him a lot.
I don't know if there was room to... Well, I take that back. It depends on how much you want to restructure things. If you'd had a completely different Mass Effect 2...
Yes.
That didn't have the Elusive Man and Cerberus and all that going on as the major thing you were dealing with.
Honestly, I would
have had a lot more Hackett.
Counter-argument? Hackett is your liaison while you're out in the Terminus systems. Rather than it being Anderson or somebody, you occasionally have to field reports out to Admiral Hackett, who will tell you about various dealings, and he's like the guy who kind of knows what's going on, and is like the counterweight to Cerberus. And that gives you that would have given you an opportunity to like play. Do you want to be more of an Alliance guy, or do you want to go and explore more of Cerberus?
I could see that.
But yeah, either way, I think he's definitely a B tier. Harbinger.
That was the first.
Second. He's in Harbinger is in 2 and 3.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, the Reaper, bad guy.
Man, all the Reapers kind of sucked.
We will get to this when we get to Sovereign, but I like the Reapers as a concept.
I mean, they're not worse than a C because they do.
Oh no,
do
absolutely
their job,
not. I would say it's at least a C tier. They could have done more though.
They could have done so much more.
Yes.
And again, I'm biased in terms of I love artificial intelligence type stuff, and so I'm really like Edie. I'm disappointed that there wasn't more.
Yeah. Done
with them, but
yeah. Speaking of the Elusive Man,
I would have him a lot higher if it hadn't turned out that like all of the horrible things he was doing was because of him being indoctrinated and all this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that was really the coward's way out.
I feel he's definitely kneecapped a lot in Mass Effect 3.
Oh. I mean, it was a really weird decision for Mass Effect 2 to even go the way that it did. And suddenly now you're working for Cerberus and all this.
I definitely think there should have been more stakes to it. I say stakes to it. More personal stakes in terms of Shepard's involvement.
Well, I feel like it would have really been...
Because there's literally nothing stopping you from just telling the Elusive Man to go fuck himself and heading back to Alliance space and being like, hey, shit's going down and people are disappearing. You guys want to maybe like send me?
Well, it kind of feels like Mass Effect 3 pretty much forces you down that route, no matter what you chose at the end of Mass Effect 2.
Yeah,
to a degree.
We can get into Mass Effect 3 another time, but I think the Elusive Man is definitely a C tier character.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is sad because there's a lot of build up that happens in Mass Effect 2. What he does, how he gets his money, how he's in control of this massive organization, and then in 3 it just kind of went, eh.
Well, I feel like it's less that there needed to necessarily be more details about that kind of background stuff, and more that like, I feel like what the missed opportunity was this having a dynamic between, what is practical but awful versus what is ideal but not necessarily very effective.
Well, they were the ones injecting people with plant monster serum in the first game.
No, exactly. But that's what I'm saying, is that like, I feel like they should have maybe said it instead of just be like, okay, Mass Effect 1, they're the bad guys, and Mass Effect 2, they're the good guys, and Mass Effect 3, they're the bad guys again. Instead of that, I feel like it would have been better if it was more ambiguous throughout the entire trilogy. Like, Are they the good guys? Are they the bad guys? Can we win without their methods?
Yes.
Can we recover morally if we use their methods? I feel like that would have been...
Right. Sir, I kind of have feelings the same way towards Section 31 from Star Trek.
For sure. Yeah, that's a good comparison, actually.
There's a lot of Star Trek comparisons in this episode. So one of us is going to have to compare something to Star Wars, or we're going to piss off a lot of the internet. Jal from Mass Effect Andromeda, he's one of the new aliens you meet. He's a D tier. I don't care. Jack.
I really liked Jack.
I like Jack, but I'm also biased because this is a carryover from my anime days. She definitely embodies the Valkyrie bitch archetype. And like I have a soft spot in my heart for that archetype just because it's not used too much anymore, for good reason for the most part, but
part of the reason I like Jack is she's a little cliche. Like
she's very cliched.
I don't know. I feel like
it's a cliche that I enjoy though.
Yeah, see, it's a cliche I don't generally enjoy. But why I liked Jack is because there was a lot more to her beyond that.
This is true.
Cliche. Which is why I say she's a little bit cliche, because it's like, it's not really that much of her character.
Honestly, from her growth from 2 into 3, I would honestly label her an A character.
I was thinking A. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, A tier character for Jack. Like her a lot. No notes. Perfectly done. Not perfectly well done, but done well enough to accomplish and go beyond.
Yeah, there are things that I would have preferred that they did that could have raised her to an S tier, but...
Oh, yeah. On the polar opposite of that, Jacob.
He was fine.
Yeah, no, Jacob's a C tier character. He's perfectly all right.
Yeah.
He does what he's meant to do. Beyond that, there's absolutely nothing to him.
Yeah. I mean,
I liked his loyalty mission a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's what keeps him from being a D tier character.
But really,
honestly.
that mission is all about his dad. It's not really about him.
It's not, but it is. You don't get that mission without him.
Right, for sure.
And it is one of my favorite missions in Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, that was great.
It's one of the most fucked up ones they did. And yeah, that's basically the only reason that saves him from the D tier list.
I feel like he would still be solidly C either way, but
yeah,
I mean, he does his job.
We can agree to disagree on this one. I think there's enough there for people to like if you like Jacob. I've not met a lot of people who are big defenders of him, but he's perfectly fine squad mate. Yeah. James Vega.
That was the new guy in 3.
That's the new guy in 3.
That I was confusing the shuttle pilot with.
Yes.
Cortez. Did they... Yeah, okay.
Now,
I kind of feel like he's Jacob Mark II. I mean, he's fine.
Basically, yeah. He's perfectly fine. I'm about to show a little bit of my bias here. I have problems with Freddie Prinze Jr. through no fault of his own, through no ill will towards him as a person.
You just had planned on marrying Sarah Michelle Gellar yourself.
There's that. I'm just saying, I'm a little jealous, especially after Wing Commander the movie. And I'm sorry.
Wing Commander.
Him and Matthew Lillard are both on my shit list for eternity. They can be the nicest people. They can do the best things. Wing Commander literally punched my childhood in the dick. And I cannot forgive them for this. I remember being
so excited to go see that fucking movie.
We were all excited for it. And then it comes out and it's like, what the fuck is this?
Wing Commander.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's nothing super...
But he's Kanan now. From Rebels.
I haven't been watching Rebels.
Well, it's over, so but
I didn't watch it. I'm not as much of a Star Wars.
Hey, speaking of,
Star Wars, we mentioned it. Yeah, now we can put it in the tags.
Yeah. And Kanan's one of the best Jedi we've had in Star Wars.
Okay.
So
yeah, he's a D tier character for me, quite honestly. Like, there's not enough there for him character development wise.
See, I feel like that's like the definition of a C. Like Jacob, he serves his narrative role, but there's nothing special about him.
True.
There's nothing that recommends him to be.
True.
But he doesn't necessarily have any glaring flaws.
Yeah, he doesn't really detract from the story horribly. So yeah, I can understand that. All right, Javik.
Who?
Mass Effect 3, the Prothean that you find.
No DLC, remember?
Oh my god, that's right.
Yeah, no idea who that is.
Oh, okay. So he is a Prothean who got basically put into one of their storage pods that you unearth from a dig site Liara was helping work on. And you get a little bit of insight into what the Prothean Empire was like, how it ran things, and how he is completely and totally disgusted by all the equality and benevolence that this cycle has, and how it is completely and totally fuck them. Because they're unprepared for the Reaper threat.
All right.
I like Javik a lot. I think he's a decent enough character. He's got problems, but I think that kind of makes him different than most of the people who are not quite super optimistic, but are a little more forward-centric. And he's very much having to deal with the trauma of what happened to him, and now he's having to watch it all play out again.
Well, I've got no opinion on this one.
Okay,
so.
Well, since you didn't experience him, that's a detraction for you. I'm going to go ahead and place him as a B-list character. He is perfectly fine, but as you noted, it doesn't detract from the story. Personally, Javik is an A tier, but because he is completely and totally missable, and you can complete everything without him. Yeah. I'm trying to remember who this is. Oh, it's Jenkins. Yeah, the guy who's a joke. He's Private Leroy Jenkins. Or Private L. Jenkins, and he dies on the very first mission.
Oh, the one that, okay.
Yeah, he's super, super eager about everything. He's like, oh, I heard you were like a war hero, or you survived bug venom getting blasted in your veins, or some shit.
Yeah, okay, sure. Let's see, he had like, what, 3 or 4 lines?
Yeah.
I guess he served his narrative purpose, so that's a C?
I guess so.
I mean, the purpose wasn't very grand.
Sure, but... Jenkins is a D character. Joker.
Oh.
See, now we get into a character I think we both have...
Seth Green.
Yeah, which here's an interesting thing, because I like to mingle the character with the actor in a lot of ways, because they bring a lot of embodiment to it. And here I have to do a lot of separation, because Seth Green kind of does some dumb shit.
What?
I know, the guy who's currently promoting shitty NFTs does dumb things.
Bored ape. Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, I mean, anyway.
Yeah, we can discuss that another time. Seth Green, shit. Joker. I think Joker's definitely a B tier character.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like he
definitely is better than a C.
He is better than a
C. For
C.
sure.
But
he's way too likable to be a C.
Yeah.
But
I don't.
Yeah, he probably doesn't rise to the level of an A.
Yeah. No. All right, Kai Lang. Fuck Kai Lang. Kai Lang's in the Kai Lang.
But he's super cool. He's a cyborg ninja guy.
Oh, he's so cool. But your one encounter with him where you have to fight him on Thessia, I absolutely kicked his ass, and the only reason he survived is because plot contrivance.
I don't know who it was on the production that just apparently was in love with this guy.
I don't
to make
either.
him into the game.
I don't either. I'd love to go back in time and punch him in the head. I hate this guy more than I hate the Marauder in Doom Eternal, and I fucking hate the Marauders. I'll explain that after the show, but
okay.
Now I did hear one really cool idea where I don't know if it was a fan theory or if it was something that was pitched dev-wise, but the theory that I heard was Kai Lang was actually going to be the squad mate you left behind on Vermeer. And how they basically found, like...
I think I like that less.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, here's what I heard, was basically they were like a prototype run on the Lazarus effect, or the Lazarus project, and they... they learned from the cues they took from Shepard, who told Cerberus to fuck off, basically, and they were like, oh, well, we probably shouldn't let this version have that much freedom, so let's do a little more brain control on them.
Yeah, I guess that just takes it even further into a weird archetype of, like, cyborg mind-controlled Deathlock type. I don't know.
I'm not saying it would have worked out better or even be good, but honestly, I think it would have been better than what we got with Kai Lang. Like, at least that gives you some kind of emotional through line.
But it's
and forces you to come to terms with the choices that you made.
See, and I mean, I definitely think that there should have been more... what's the word I'm looking for?
Resonance?
After Mass Effect 1, there should have been more of, like, Shepard dealing with, having to leave somebody behind like that. And then after Mass Effect 2, assuming you actually lost anybody in the suicide mission, which narratively, if you don't, is weird. But anyway.
Maybe for you.
I mean, it's called the suicide mission. All along.
Yeah, and I made a damn fine point to run through all that and I made flowcharts so I wouldn't lose people.
See, I feel like that's a little bit narratively weird.
Fuck your narrative. My crew survived, goddammit.
But see, I believe that one of the few things that were changed in the director's cut, extended edition, whatever, of the Mass Effect 3 ending, one of the few things that they actually made worse in the updated ending was when they added that extra shot of the people who were, like, blown up right in front of you to show that they weren't actually blown up right in front of you. You remember what I'm talking about?
I do not.
They're like, their shuttle comes down full of, like, your romantic interest and a few other people.
Yeah.
And they're, like, fucking blown up. Like, you're trying to get there and they get blown up right in front of you. And
I do not remember this.
Gone.
It's been a long time.
That was in the original ending.
I played the original ending. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, well, I remember it vividly because when the Nuka ending came out, I was like, because then you see them later in the new ending, like they make a point to show, oh, they actually were all fine.
I don't know. I was kind of disappointed by Mass Effect 3's ending by that point, so I was probably just like, let's just get this over with.
See, I was really disappointed by. Of course, you can't talk about Mass Effect without talking about the ending.
Yeah.
I was disappointed with the original ending,
As we all
as
were.
was presented.
Yeah.
But after they released the new ending, I thought it resolved almost all the problems that I had.
Yeah.
With that original ending, but that was that like one thing that was like, well, that was actually better in the original
I
because
don't remember that.
it's fucking brutal. Like you lose like 4 or 5 people out of your team, like right there. Like you can't do anything about it. It's just like,
See, I like that in concept, but I don't know how well that would work emotionally, like in the moment.
it worked fantastic for me.
Really?
Playing through the ending for that first time.
Well, I think we've established we have very different emotions based on people. Speaking of which, Caden Alenko.
He's fine. He's a C.
Yeah, no, that's about where I put him. He's a C.
I mean, he could have been better. It's sad he wasn't better because he's voiced by Karth from KOTOR, who I was fond of, and I wish that he had gotten more to do better in Mass Effect, but he didn't.
He's just kind of there. Carl Rieger.
Oh, you mean Jane?
Yes, he's
The
Corey
hero
and
of
Jane.
Canton.
He's Corey and Jane.
B.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
can see that. I can see that. This is another one that makes it a little difficult because I have to separate the actor from the character because
You need to watch Con Man.
Adam Baldwin is kind of a
There's a parody character
kind of a
based on
huge
Adam
piece of shit.
Baldwin, and he is really funny.
I might have to watch this then. You keep recommending it to me, but yeah, Carl Rieger, as far as Mass Effect goes, definitely a B tier character.
Well, all the Quarians are great, and he's like
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah, he's definitely fun. I kind of wish you could recruit him in Mass Effect 3.
If he had more screen time, he could easily be an A or an S.
Yeah, I would. If he had more screen time, he would definitely be an S tier character because he's straight up fun to do. He's a fun character, fun to have around. Kasumi from Mass Effect 2.
No DLC?
No DLC?
Oh, sorry. I did play some Mass Effect 2 DLC, but that wasn't one of them.
You didn't play. Okay. You get to do a bit of a heist.
Yeah.
Where you break into an arms broker's house and
she seemed interesting.
she's fine.
Not like $10 or $15 interesting.
No, not really. And I, as somebody who bought the DLC and does not mind it, it's like a $10 DLC at best.
Well, that's the thing is like I'd still love to have. I would have loved to have gotten to play all the DLC.
It's
BioWare.
it's in the Legendary Edition.
Right. But I can't. I don't think I can take my save files and make that work. Even if I can find my old save files. Anyway,
I don't think so, but yeah.
No. I was really prepared to hate all DLC forever. And then the Dragon Age Origins, I loved all the DLC that, or maybe love might be but I felt like all of them were good,
Right.
but just the price points were just obscene.
Yeah,
you know,
no, I understand.
we're talking
that.
serious fractions
understand
of the
that.
cost of the whole freaking game. And so that's why I ended up not getting them. Not because I didn't want to play through this stuff. I felt like BioWare really did had an established track record of doing good DLC.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the game is like $25 and the DLCs are 10 or 15 a pop,
Yeah.
it's like well, something's out of whack there.
Yeah. No, I think she's above a D grade character, but only just. She's definitely she's not as bad as Kai Lang as far as being somebody who really doesn't fit the overall vibe and motif of Mass Effect. She's this too cool for the room techno ninja, basically.
Another techno ninja.
Yeah, somebody really had a fucking hard on for fucking techno ninjas.
Maybe they were just really bitter that Jade Empire didn't do as well to get sequels.
I mean, I was bitter that Jade Empire didn't get a sequel. That game was fun.
Yeah, but you're not in the. You can't shove techno ninjas down Mass Effect's throat.
This is true.
On account of it.
This is true. Kelly Chambers.
That's the one that like read your emails to you or something, right?
She's your yeoman in
Right.
Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, she was fine, I guess.
I
I don't remember anything awful about her. I certainly don't remember anything great.
There's nothing awful about her, but she was also supposed to be reporting your goings on to the elusive man. And I think that's a huge missed opportunity to have some kind of a confrontation like on the ship between the characters and just be like, wait, are you a spy or are you not? Because she can become a potential romantic interest.
Oh, that's right.
And I hate to say this, but I think Kelly Chambers is a D tier character. Just almost exclusively because of what they missed doing with her.
So I feel like that's an unfair judgment. Like I feel like you have to judge them based on what they actually did do. I mean, because there's so many that we've said could have been higher if they had not missed opportunities.
This is true. But, all right. C tier character. There's a lot of C tier characters there.
Well, I mean, that should be where the bell curve is highest, though.
Yeah,
right?
Perfectly middle of the road. I feel kind of bad that we only have Anderson as an S tier character now.
Well, we haven't gotten to all the great ones.
We haven't gotten to all of them. I see at least one that's going to come up, possibly 2 or 3. But Khaleesa Bensini Al-Jilani.
I'm sorry, say again?
The reporter that's a complete and total asshole to you.
Oh, okay.
She, I think, rises above a C tier character. She is a confrontational force that is somewhat needed. I wish they had done more with her. She's the reporter you get to punch in free. Yeah. You kind of had that look on your face, like, who am I talking about?
Well, I remember because we had already had the discussion about the 2 different reporters.
Right. I feel she's at least a B tier character because her arc does follow through in a very well paid off section in 3, especially if you run a Paragon. Because, like, she's very much an antagonistical force towards you, which, looking back on it now, from where I stand versus where I started, personally, is something that is sorely missing in Mass Effect. There is not really a push against, like, what the Alliance is doing. Are you doing actual good in the universe? Or are you just part of a military complex that is pushing humanistic hegemony? Are you just working for the council because they're footing your bill? And
no. Well, I think that, depending on your choices beforehand, that can be, I mean, definitely, for example, like if you sacrifice the council in Mass Effect 1, then that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
To have that kind of, and of course, if you took heavy human losses to save the council,
yes,
that's a little bit of a harder.
Well, that's what happens in Mass Effect 2 is she comes at you and she's like, I'm sorry, are you even... There's reports that you're working for Cerberus? Didn't they kill, like, a lot of people? And you're able to counter, it's like, right. Yeah, they killed a lot of people. I know what's going on. I know the score. And then later, she confronts you about the Reapers and the just absolute catastrophic amounts of loss. And if you're able to resist punching her, you get a really... You get a really nice bit of humanity out of everybody, where she kind of has a breakdown, and Shepard's just there to comfort her.
I feel like I didn't punch her, but I also feel like I don't remember seeing that you were just talking about the breakdown. Maybe I did. It's been a while.
I definitely think she belongs in a B tier list. Personally,
that's fair. I remember I had negative feelings about her, but in the same way as like, Conrad Werner. Like, you're supposed to feel.
No, I think she's the better version of Conrad Werner, personally, just in terms of how she makes the player feel. Because she is supposed to hit that emotional ticket.
I should also, you mentioned about if you were playing Paragon. Another, there's so many quirks to my playthrough of Mass Effect. Another thing I should mention is that pretty much at all times I was maxed on Paragon and 75% maxed on Renegade.
Yeah.
So I definitely didn't stick to one or the other. I just tried to make decisions that seemed like they made sense for my Shepard.
Yes.
In the moment.
All right. Captain Kirrahe.
That was the leader of the Solarian special
S2G.
task. Yeah, that's the ones.
Yes.
On Mass Effect 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he makes an appearance in 3. Where you get the little explosive ball pistol.
I don't remember that. I do remember Morden talking about having served with Kirrahe and
Yeah, he gets a good mention too. As far as his character goes, for like not even like below tertiary character, I think he's a really good version of that.
I think he's good. I'm not sure I could see higher than a B tier.
See, I'm leaning towards A. He's really big in Mass Effect 1 where you encounter him. Mm-hmm. Like, he's a really great character to have, and like if you ignore him, there's consequences later down the road. But if you keep up with him and you help him out, in 3 it has a huge payoff. Where he's basically the one who says, hey, yeah, the government's full of a bunch of fucking morons. If you need help, the STG will be there for you. And like I think that's a really great overall payoff for him as a character.
Yeah, I guess I feel like if there was more of him, I could see an easier case.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel he falls into the same category as Rieger.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. We'll go B tier for now. B tier for now. All right. Legion.
Oh, I love Legion.
If you say higher than Grunt, we may come to blows.
I didn't give Grunt anything.
I know. I know. And this is where things get weird. This is where things get weird because you were willing to make that argument about Grunt. Why were you not willing to make that argument about Legion?
You didn't have to choose whether to activate Legion or not, did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, you have to wake him up. You have to wake him up.
Crap. Well, if I had to archaeologically reconstruct my decision-making process.
Yes. Explore that horrible meat computer you call a brain. Piece the broken files together.
I probably would have said something along the lines of the fact that if there's any possible chance to establish any sort of non-hostile contact with the Geth, that's worth a fair amount of risk-taking, because the Geth are already extremely, fucking all the shit up. But if we can stop that without having to kill them all, then that's a bonus.
No, I approached the exact same way, but then again, I also approached that similar with the Krogan.
But the thing is, the Krogan aren't already fucking everything up.
No, they're just horribly fucked up, and if we can help repair their problems, then we can make everything better.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And in fact, I found out after the fact, if you don't have Rex, and you don't have the what's her name, the breeding Krogan girl, Eve, yeah, in 3, then basically the epilogue or something talks about how the Krogans just go and you undo the genophage.
Right. Well, again, that's consequences to your actions, and right. One of the things I think was really well done in the carryover that few games were capable of.
And that's the only circumstance in which you can convince Morden to not undo the genophage without having to kill him.
Yes. In
3, is if they're both gone. But really, that's kind of. If 2 individuals are what are keeping a species from being like a massive negative in the galaxy, that's an awfully thin thread.
See, they're not just the only 2; they're just the 2 that are currently being focused on.
I don't know. I like the Krogans, but
Legion's an A-tier character at the very least. I think
at the very least.
I think we can agree on that.
I would, yes. I feel like he's more correctly an S-tier, but,
Yeah. No, I'll go with that. Legion definitely an S-tier, especially when you get to his story conclusion in Mass Effect 3.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I'm not ashamed to say, I cried like a bitch when that happened.
Let's see.
Like, it still makes me weepy-eyed thinking about that. It's a really well-written and well-done ending.
I cried during the Quarian Homeworld.
Yeah, that's when Legion.
But like before that, because it was like as part of my personal story that, was telling in the playthrough, basically that was the point where my shepherd was like, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
There's no happy ending here, and he's lying. Tolly and I romance Tolly,
right?
And Tolly and he were basically lying to each other about, we're gonna come back here. We're gonna build a house on this beautiful. And that world was beautiful. Like,
did your Tally kill herself?
No.
Okay, just making sure there.
She died in the shuttle at the end of Mass Effect 3. She was blown up right in front of.
As you said, I still don't remember this. I went ahead and put Liam in D tier. He's Mass Effect Andromeda character. I don't give a shit about Liam. He's kind of annoying, honestly. Liara T'Soni. She is my space wife.
So here's the thing.
She's one of my two space wives.
Her Mass Effect 2 DLC. Lair of the Shadow Broker?
Lair of the Shadow Broker?
That's one of the ones I didn't get to play.
It's a really good DLC.
Everyone says that.
It's super good.
And I wish that I'd gotten to play it during my playthrough. But unfortunately, I didn't.
Yes.
And so I found Liara to be confusing. Like, because I went from her in Mass Effect 1 to her in Mass Effect 3, and there wasn't that DLC, in the middle.
Okay.
And so...
Yeah, no, looking back on it, they really make it dependent on knowing a lot of what happens in between for the DLCs. From 2. I can see that being very confusing. I don't think she belongs anywhere lower than A tier. I think we're about to have an argument.
B.
Okay, here we go.
In my playthrough, I actually romanced her in the first game.
Right.
Because there was only 3 options. It was like, what? Is it going to be Ashley? Because I had made a male shepherd? No, it's not going to be Ashley.
You can romance her as female V.
Not in
shepherd.
1.
Yeah, you can.
Maybe you can in Legendary. You certainly couldn't in the...
Yes, you could. I did it.
I'm almost positive you couldn't have actual gay relationships in Mass Effect 1.
You could with Liara.
Yeah. I was saying, since I made a male shepherd,
right,
my only options were Ashley or Liara.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was talking about Liara. You were talking about Ashley.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And even then, it's not really gay because they're all women, which means they aren't.
It's not gay when you're in a 3-way, right? No, it's totally not gay because they don't have gender on their planet. Never mind the fact that I identify gender and have it in my life.
I'm just saying, that was the argument for why they were able to have Liara as a gay option back then. Because there was, all this... and then even still,
Fox
Jack
News
Thompson,
made a huge...
with his, it's an alien sex simulator
Oh,
game.
God. Don't remind me about Jack Thompson or Joe Lieberman. Fuck all of them. All right, fine. Yeah, I can see Liara being a B-tier character. Mass Effect 1 is definitely her most confusing section. But I think she grows.
In 1.
She is, but I think you kind of almost need that amongst the other characters that are way more outlandish.
I don't know. Kaiden and Ashley are also really boring in Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, they are.
You got a fair amount of boring characters in there.
But again, she does all the things Kaiden can do, plus her ass looks good in the suit.
So my team, since I was playing a soldier who was straight combat, I took Liara as straight biotics, and I took Tali as straight engineering.
Yeah, no.
So 3 specialists.
Yeah.
So, I mean, mechanically, she was quite useful, obviously. But, yeah, I don't know.
No, I can understand it. I'll give this.
And I totally...
I'll acquiesce this.
Well, we totally...
we might reevaluate.
Like, if I had played Lair of the Shadow Broker, I might have a completely different opinion of her. But I didn't, because it was DLC that I didn't have. So
if you want to come over and play the Legendary Edition, we can do that. I
actually have the Legendary Edition.
If you want to do a Let's Play in it, I'll happily do a Let's Play with you. We'll play some Mass Effect. I'll play some Mass Effect.
I don't know if you want to play Mass Effect the way I play Mass Effect.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I'm slow. I'm a slow goer.
I don't know about that. But Elusive Man.
Wait, didn't we? Oh, we didn't. Didn't we already have him?
No, we talked about him a lot.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
The Elusive Man, I think he's a B tier. Like, there's a lot of missed opportunity that they could have done more with him, and I think would have made him easily an S tier villain. but like his motivations become confusing in 3, and he just kind of devolves into generic, I'm evil, bad guy man.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely had a lot of missed opportunities with him for sure.
Yeah.
I think anybody listening to this is going to think I really hate on Mass Effect. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
Well,
that's why I have to hold his feet to the fire.
That's something that I think a lot of people mistake when criticism comes around. It's like, oh, you must hate it. It's like, no, I love it and I want it to be better.
Right.
Because I know it can be better.
Or could have.
Or could have been better, yeah. What we have is still very, very good, but really could have been just that much better. Speaking of that much better, Miranda Lawson.
See?
Yeah.
I mean, she's like the female Jacob.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but she's definitely a bundle of missed opportunity. Missed opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, she could have been interesting.
Like, there's no real character development for her, even once you get beyond her loyalty mission and arc. Like, she kind of starts and ends the same way.
Nice thing about Mass Effect 2 is everybody's loyalty mission that I played, everybody that I was able to do, because I didn't do the DLC.
Right.
A lot of it was pretty darn good, and really, really did good character development for those characters.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you have a character that's supposed to be one of your party members, I feel like you need more than a single loyalty mission that makes them recommended narratively.
Yeah.
S plus.
No, if there were a rank higher, Morden, I think Anderson Morden would be in SS tier. No, I love Morden as a character. I think he's probably the best written one in Mass Effect 2.
I mean, Tali, forgive me, but Morden is just
if you could
amazing.
Romance him, he'd be your romance.
for starters.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's no comparison. He is far and away better written than every other character in like the entire game.
Yeah, no, it's this is definitely one of those things where you can definitely see things having been better because of how well Morden is developed and how well written he is. And like I think a lot of that just comes down to they very much had a clear defined goal for Morden and his character. And the others, I think, might have been a little more middling.
He's such a strong character. I mean, in terms of like,
he's also I don't want to say an excellent representation, but he is a very good representation of a more neurodivergent individual.
Yeah, he seems like he's definitely autistic coded.
Yes. And a lot of
appreciate.
A lot of people have picked up on that, and I think somebody stated that he was supposed to be.
Well, I mean, I assume that he can't literally be autistic because Solarians are Solarians and not humans. But he's pretty clearly coded that way. But there's so much more to him than that. Like so many characters, well, they make them autistic coded or literally autistic, and then that's their character.
Right.
But there's so much more to Morden than that.
Right. And that's again what I think they did a good job with, like Steve Cortez. Like a lot of writers would just made him gay and that'd be it.
Oh.
But instead somebody said, you know what, let's not do that and actually make a character around.
Yeah. But like the ethical stance of Morden is essentially my Shepard's ethical stance. Like my Shepard met Morden and was like, hey, finally somebody gets it.
Yeah. It's one of the things I kind of take issue with in exploring a lot of his loyalty missions is Shepard has virtually nothing but hostility towards a lot of his decisions. And personally, I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you do this? This makes perfect sense. And like, I feel like that's a failing on the writing end for Shepard, but definitely a win for Morden.
Well, I was happy with my Shepard and my ability to make choices that was consistent with who my Shepard was.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole trilogy. But Yeah, there were some times where it's a little bit like, feels like there should be a different way to go with things that, anyway, but.
Speaking of a different way to go, Morinth.
Well, I didn't recruit her.
Very few people did. I did once just to see what happens. Nothing really happens.
I did do that where you can let her kill you just to see what it was like.
Yeah, it's just a game over screen.
Yeah, it's like that was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, that was a waste. I want to put her in C tier, but I don't have enough reason to put her in C tier.
Yeah, I feel like she's kind of a D.
Which is really sad because she's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, and I can't remember her Asari Paladin mother's name.
Well,
but,
she's coming up, so you better remember it quick.
Whatever her name is.
Or I'll remind you. Samara.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. You'll hear it on the video, maybe.
She was not terribly interesting. But Morinth was supposed to be what made her interesting, and then Morinth wasn't very interesting.
I know. I really hate to do it, but yeah, she's a D tier character, which sucks so hard because when you get to the R.Yakshi level in Mass Effect 3, that's genuinely creepy and terrifying. You're surrounded by a bunch of people who are trying to be not killer monsters, and they're all being converted into it. It reminded me a lot of Dead Space.
I like the idea of the R.Yakshi.
Yeah.
But Morinth was just... I don't know how that was supposed to work.
I don't either. Oh, yes. I forget his name, but Mass Effect 2's Biotic God.
the Volus?
Yes.
S.
Yes. You belong right up there, good sir. And yeah, that's Mass Effect 3 Omega DLC counter character.
Didn't play.
Okay, well I have some opinions on this character. So she's presented as a foil to Arya. And how she wants to basically make Omega more of a safe haven than a criminal empire, and how she has designs and ideas to stop being a pirate haven and actually be a spot in the terminus where things are like, hey, we don't have to be this bad. We have the resources. We have the material. And she's really a missed opportunity character because at the end, she dies, and the way the DLC was playing out, it felt like a build up to where you're going to have to choose between Arya or this character, and that would represent where Omega would go and how it would help in the future. But then they're just like, nope, you get Arya again, and so I hate to do it because again, Morinth, I think there's a lot that could have been done with her. Man, you could just basically say that about Mass Effect 3 overall. But, yeah, she's a D-tier character, I think. This is the Asari from Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm tempted to put her in the same category as Kai Lang.
That bad, huh?
When you meet her, she nearly kills you, and then when you call her out, it's like, but she didn't die! Come on, let's go! On an adventure! And I'm just like, fuck off!
I mean, I didn't go through it, so maybe it's worse than you're making it sound. That doesn't sound too bad to me.
It's one of those... at the time, I might feel differently now, but at the time, I was completely over that character archetype. That super bouncy, hey, let's do the thing! Da-da-da. I'm just like... I have enough on my plate trying to make sure that people aren't dying in this sector of the galaxy.
It's a weird fit for Mass Effect.
It is, and
I like that archetype in general. The enthusiastic characters.
I don't have a problem
because they're not common. It's way
they're
too
weirdly
much.
Not everybody wants to do the ooh, I'm dark brooding.
Exactly.
Yeah, just having an openly bouncy character is fine.
That's
good.
You gotta
it's a breath
do
of fresh
right.
air, and I don't think she's done right.
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, you can totally screw it
like
up.
she really got on my tits, like the moment that from the word go.
Riku in Final Fantasy X is an example
Yes.
of doing it badly.
Yes,
for example,
I will
you
agree.
can totally do it badly. But in general, I like to have that archetype in the mix to lighten things up a little.
I understand. All right. The Ryder twins, they're the main characters of Mass Effect Andromeda. They're fine. I'm going to label them a C. I can't remember her name right now, but it's the assistant from Mass Effect 3.
I don't remember her name either.
I don't either. You know what?
What did she do?
Besides
assist.
She went in the D tier category. That's what she did. I'm sorry, but I don't remember her at all. The only thing I really remember her is from the Citadel DLC where she helps you break into the Normandy.
Which I didn't play, of course.
I mean, she's fine. I'm not unhappy she's there, but at the same time, if she wasn't, I wouldn't exactly miss her character. Samara.
Boring. D.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? D tier character for Samara.
I mean, if you want to put her in C,
I would say she's at least a C tier character. I know you think she's boring, but again, the stuff surrounding her and Morinth, which should have been played up more.
It should have been interesting.
It should have been.
On paper, it's interesting.
Yes.
In game, I didn't find it interesting.
I think this is going to come down to personal aptitude. You know what? I can see an argument for her being D tier, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll go D tier. I'm going to go ahead and put her before assistant. Before PB.
I was assuming everybody in a tier was identical.
No, I'm going to put her right next to Morinth because that's where they belong, quite honestly. Saren. Saren is an S tier villain for me. Come on, defend it. Defend your D. I know you want to put him there.
No, not quite. I was actually thinking more A, but all right. Tell me what makes him better than an A.
I personally like a villain who is all in for their plans being right. They believe that they are
the hero.
No, I don't think Saren thinks he's the hero because he knows he's going to be doing a lot of evil shit. But at the same time...
Not necessarily incompatible with being a hero.
It's not incompatible, but I don't think he would consider himself heroic. But then again, I think he considered himself heroic to begin with. I think he just kind of recognized his role as basically a intergalactic executioner. Like, he is the one you call when shit has gone so far south, you might as well be hitting Mexico. And, like, he recognizes what he is. And I have a soft spot for villains that aren't, no, you don't understand. I'm secretly doing this for the good. And they try and do that subversion. Saren straight up knows he is doing some bad shit. And he is perfectly fine with that because he believes that his method is the only one that's going to work. Because he's combed through and he's seen things and he's like, we obviously can't argue with them. We can't fight them. The best we can do is placate them and hope for the best. Yeah,
I don't think that that's necessarily incompatible with what you were saying, though.
Right. Now, in my mind, the hero is, I would say he could be a protagonist. Saren could very much be the protagonist of Mass Effect in a way. But I wouldn't label him as heroic by any stretch.
Well, heroic is such a loaded term.
That's true.
I guess what I mean is he thinks that he's being as moral as is practical.
Yes.
Which I definitely...
I equate Saren to Gul Dukat before he became stupid.
Yeah, let's not talk about what happened to Gul Dukat.
Yeah.
We'll be here all day.
We will, actually, kids. We've had this discussion before.
All right.
But yeah, I think Saren is...
See, but that's kind of part of my problem, is I'm thinking of Gul Dukat as an S-tier villain, and I'm thinking Saren doesn't hold up, so he's got to be under S.
Mm.
But, yeah, I don't know. Personally, I still think he's an A, but I won't begrudge it.
I think we can both agree that he borders on S tier character. Like, he's well written, he's well acted, he's well done. I can definitely understand why there might be that certain something for some people that holds him back from crossing that barrier.
In a lot of ways, he's a tragic villain, too, because...
Very much so.
He ends up being...
Especially if you argue hard enough to him in the final confrontation, where he actually realizes, oh shit, I fucked up so hard.
Yeah.
All right. No, I can understand that. I'll acquiesce. I'll say A tier. I think he's an S tier personally. We might
put him in S. That's fine.
We might circle back. Shadow Broker. I know you didn't play him. I think
the original Shadow Broker or Liara.
The original Shadow Broker.
And that was he did show up outside of that DLC, right?
One of his species showed up in Mass Effect 3 when you're on the Solarian homeworld.
Maybe okay. I apparently don't. I have no.
I'm gonna put him in a B tier character. He's that criminal big bad guy. He's been pulling on the strings. He has a wonderful voice they gave him. It's deep and raspy.
I'm thinking of that he showed up just because they talked about you get data. You get some sort of info from somebody who's working for the Shadow Broker. In
Mass Effect 1. In Mass Effect 1, he crops up mentioned a few times.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a lot of build up. There's a lot of talk about the Shadow Broker and who he is. Nobody knows.
Right.
And then you finally get to meet him, and I honestly think it pays off really, really well. It's a really great fight you get to have with him, and I think his character's a lot of fun. Like, he's got specialized dialogue for each party member you bring with him and what he can gain.
Oh, I remember seeing some stuff on, like, the Mass Effect Wiki or something.
Yes.
On the character profiles about what the Shadow Broker has to say about them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shepard.
How can you rate Shepard?
Shepard's an S tier character.
No. I mean, literally.
Oh, are you saying Shepard...
How can you rate Shepard? Because Shepard isn't a character.
This is true. They are kind of a tabula rasa.
Yeah, I mean, it's like... Shepard is large. Shepard contains multitudes. Right?
Okay, well, you know what? I think that's fair, and we can leave Shepard off the board.
I mean, my Shepard was S for me.
Yeah.
But if you had played my Shepard, I'm sure that you would have found them to be quite a bit less satisfying.
Possibly. You probably would have hated my Shepard because
very possible.
I basically went full Paragon with him. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I feel like if you went full Paragon or full Renegade, you were missing out badly on the intended experience. But... And, of course, almost everyone did one of those two things.
All right. Well, Shepard will be left off the table then. Sovereign. Now, Sovereign, again, just for the presentation and the flair that it has, the build-up for when you encounter it, honest to God, is S-tier villainy for me.
But can you I don't know if you can credit the presentation to Sovereign as a character.
Now, I'm not gonna put them in S tier because there is something that holds it back for me. Now, let me make my argument because I think that Sovereign is definitely an A tier character. At the very least, I'm positioning from A tier. The reason I'm saying I love him as an S tier villain, just the speech and the conversation you have with him, you get that overwhelming sense of, it's not superiority, but the knowledge that you are nothing to them. It's that Lovecraftian element that I don't think they leaned hard enough into with the Reapers. And how you are an inconvenience in its eyes. And my problem with this is nothing else in the entirety of the series comes close to that. Like, all throughout the rest of the game, the dialogue you can very much tell it's in a recording booth. There are actors there. You're basically watching a space opera. When it gets to Sovereign, the audio becomes so crisp and clear, it borders on a fidelity the likes of which nothing else in the game has. And it genuinely puts you, the player, into a totally different headspace. And I think that is something that very few games get right, is their villain being able to reach across that from the character that they're menacing to the player, to the point where you, the person sitting on your couch playing this game, get a sense of dread. And Sovereign, I feel, conveyed that superbly.
I guess I feel like Sovereign is a weak character presented well. I mean, you're dead right about the presentation of Sovereign. But it's that very Lovecraftian aspect that you said that you wish they had played up harder with the Reapers, that I feel insists that he be a weak character. Because he really isn't. So that feel is not appropriate to characters. It's more appropriate to forces of nature, like a hurricane. I mean, what is Sovereign's motivation?
Oh, fuck. I fucked up.
Oh?
Yeah, I fucked up here. We're going to have to make a correction here in a second.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, continue.
What is Sovereign's motivation? What is any of the Reapers' motivations, right? I mean,
I'll grant you, the Reapers are definitely one of the weaker parts of the overall series.
It seems like all they want to do is keep existing over and over again, but they're not doing anything with that existence. And that's could be interesting, I guess. It certainly could be menacing.
Yeah.
That's fine. That checks out. But for a character motivation that's hard to work with. A character that just wants to keep living and will kill everyone else to do it, but does literally nothing. Just hangs out in the void between galaxies in a stasis, except for when they come every so often to wipe everybody else out. How do you relate to that?
That's
on
true.
Any level?
That's true.
But that's a Reaper-wide issue. Now, if we had seen them as more,
I get where you're going with this. I will say this, and this will be my final point.
Mm-hmm.
Sovereign is a better character than Harbinger.
I could not tell you the difference between those two characters.
Sovereign had more menace and presence in the small time that he had. Harbinger was more just generically, I'm the evil one.
I mean, I don't know. Those sound very similar.
Yes, for the majority of Mass Effect 1, you thought Saren was your bad guy. He's your end goal.
Right.
Sovereign basically comes out of left field and is like, no.
Yeah, it's just basically from nowhere.
You didn't know what the fuck was going on. I'm about to show you what the fuck's happening here. Sure. And I think Sovereign pulls that off well. And they want to do that again with Harbinger, but you've already blown that wad.
Right.
You're not going to have that again. And I feel that's where Harbinger falls off.
But that's all about the presentation rather than the character.
This is true, and I think Sovereign does the presentation better.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I agree even. I guess I'm just saying they could have switched it up and had Harbinger be the one in Mass Effect 1 and Sovereign be the one in Mass Effect 2, would kept the presentation the same, and you'd never know the difference. I don't think there's a difference in those characters.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
So
presentation,
and if you can't tell the difference between two different characters,
I'll agree with you.
That's really weak characters.
I will agree with you there. I will say, however, presentation in Flare, especially for mid-2000s gaming, was sorely lacking in your villains.
Sure, and that's to Mass Effect's credit.
Yes,
but I don't give it to Sovereign's credit.
All right.
If you see the distinction.
All right, fine. All right. I think the presentation makes him just a little bit better.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, in the same way I wouldn't credit a character that was introduced in Mass Effect 2 like Miranda with having the better graphics over the characters that were introduced in Mass Effect 1, right? Technically that may be true, but it's not a credit to Miranda that she was in the game with the better graphics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. All right. I'll acquiesce.
I mean, I might be splitting hairs. But
I think you are, but I'll go ahead and acquiesce because they are basically interchangeable at the end of the day. There's not a super great amount making a difference between them. I just personally think the presentation and the overall atmosphere that Sovereign was created with outranks Harbinger, personally, which can go a long way to making an interesting...
I think we only really disagree on the semantics.
Probably.
As far as what applies to the character and what applies to the game.
This is true. Okay, so I have to make a correction. This is Steve Cortez, this person right here, your shuttle pilot.
Okay.
This
Who's that other guy?
is Armando Bailey.
Who?
He's C-Sec in Mass Effect 2. Voiced by what's his name from Battlestar Galactica? Okay, well,
the
old white guy.
Oh, Colonel Ty.
Yeah.
What's his name? I know that guy.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So, if this were Sean from probably 5 years ago, I would leave Bailey where he is as a B tier character. Sean today, however, has a lot of different opinions about some of the things that are going on not only in our world, but were represented in Mass Effect world as well. And Bailey is a borderline crooked cop.
Well, be that as it may,
Paul Hogan.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah. I think B tier is still the correct location for him.
I don't,
because you can have good characters.
He advocates for beating people till they give him information. He is pro torture.
Okay, but even as someone who is anti-torture, I can say,
as am I.
I mean, it's like the same thing. You know, we were talking about how great.
Hold on. I'm putting Cortez in B tier character, and I'm moving him off because we're not sure where he goes right now. I'm willing to bump him down to a C tier. I like
characters that do all kinds of things that are morally reprehensible that I could not possibly.
As do I. The problem is, it is written off as being, it's fine because he gets results that are favorable to the player.
Well, I mean, that's kind of up to you, though, isn't it? You don't have to do that, if I remember correctly.
No, he just does it. Like, you factor in very little to what happens with Bailey. Like, you're greeted to where he's telling us, like, you're gonna have to make him squeal, they're not gonna give you information. And I was, again, when I was younger, I was like, yeah, that's right, punch that, I don't know, dope pusher in the head, I guess. I don't know what the hell crimes they have on the Citadel. But, like, over the years, I don't feel as good about Bailey as I used to. Like, I think he's a perfectly fine character for what he is, but the lack of exploration into that kind of seedier element to the glitz and shining Citadel.
I guess I always felt like it was supposed to be morally ambiguous at best.
Having played through the series multiple times, it, at least to me, does not come across that way. While it's never coded as him being super correct and on the side of the law, like, I feel like with some of the stuff they were wanting to do like a Jim Gordon equivalent. But with a lot of their other stuff, they ended up being more Harvey Bullock. And there is a gulf of difference between those two characters and how they are written for good reason. And I, like, just personally, in my own politics, I feel that Bailey slips into a C-tier character. And I realize that is entirely on me and my own personal biases and ideologies.
Yeah, I don't... It's hard for me to sign off on. I feel like if as you are saying, it is correct that it really didn't go far enough as far as pointing out that, hey, this may not be super great. Although
Well, it also doesn't give you a chance to say one way or the other and kind of be like, why aren't you filing paperwork, Bailey? I was dead for several years, and I know that's a joke. It's a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy joke. But, like, there's reasons that this shit exists. There's reasons that when, like, one of the council's top operatives comes back from the dead, you might want to put on a form, I don't know how this person isn't dead. They're working for a terrorist organization? Maybe I should note this.
Sure. No, I'm not remotely trying to say that that's how things should be, but it doesn't. If there's a demerit to be had, it's once again back to the presentation,
right?
Which is a demerit to the game, not the character. And I like Paul Hogan voicing.
I do like Paul Hogan, and that's really the only thing that saves him from being in the C tier character list.
But if he wasn't Paul Hogan, yeah, I'd probably make him C tier myself.
All right, you know what? For Paul Hogan, because he seems like a genuinely nice and cool guy, I'm gonna put him in B tier again.
I don't know if he's a genuinely nice and cool guy, but I like his work.
Paul Hogan, you better not be a piece of shit. Tally, she's S tier.
Yeah.
No, my other space wife. Do we really need to talk about Tally? I think.
Oh, geez.
What is there to say?
She's amazing.
She is. Honestly, she is what I think they were wanting to do with Liara, just done better in Mass Effect 2. Like, you see her go from being that young, awkward, she's in her early 20s in Mass Effect 1. You see her going from that awkward, very, very shy individual to somebody who is more daring, more out there, and that is all because of the influence from Shepard. Like, even not as a romance option, I put Tally as an S tier character.
Yeah. I mean, the the romance aspect is appreciated.
Yes.
When they finally I was so annoyed that you couldn't romance her starting in Mass Effect 1. Had to settle for Liara.
Oh, you settled for the blue space babe. Yeah,
I did. I'm not kidding.
Oh, you poor repressed individual. You had to settle for fucking Liara.
But
no, I think her journey between all three games is just chef's kiss.
But see, I mean that's kind of you're joking about Liara being the blue skin space babe or whatever. But
no, that's absolutely what she is. She's the Orion slave girl that Kirk romances.
Well, yeah,
not quite that bad.
Personality is completely 180, but
yeah.
But that's the thing is that
she was put in there for that.
You never even see Tali's face.
No, she becomes a fully fleshed out and fully realized individual between all three games.
Yeah, but
and I very much appreciate that.
But and with Tali, it's she's always in this suit, Her charm has nothing to do with her appearance, which is the whole point,
right?
Of romancing Tali is that what does she look like under that? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. No, I will say, were this written later, I think you could very much make a case that Shepard, the Shepard that romances Tali, could be classified as demisexual. Because
I don't think that's necessarily it.
Well, here's my reasoning behind this. You cannot go on attractive looks for Tali.
Right.
It entirely has to be done through your emotional connection.
Right.
And I would say that the Shepard that romances her...
Well, the reason I say it doesn't necessarily... I mean, I see where you're coming from, but you... man.
Well, this is me being very charitable to the writers who, let's be honest, didn't handle a lot of the non-homonormative relationships the best sometimes.
Yeah, well, although in fairness, a lot of that was because they were under tremendous pressure not to.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna smack talk them for writing stuff they didn't have time to come to grips with fully badly, because like you write what you can with what you got. And
there was literally, I mean,
there was opposition from all sides about having sex of any kind in a video game, which they were going to catch shit for no matter what.
Well, and it was essentially at the time, of course, that's we've moved so fast as far as acceptance.
I know, which is a very good thing.
Absolutely. It's astounding to look back at and say, oh, well, 15 years ago, you couldn't have a AAA RPG with a gay romance.
Yeah.
Till now, it's like, if you don't have a gay option, like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Right. You're considered a horrible person for not allowing that.
Right.
Which I have opinions on both ways, but
I mean, I feel like Schrodinger's gay is the best way to handle it.
Yeah.
Just let the player decide whether they want to pursue any potential.
No. I definitely am a big proponent of having both options there.
Right. I mean, for sure. But what I mean is, I guess if you just can't get into that option,
right,
either way,
yeah,
you shouldn't.
I like that option. I kind of don't like what they did in Mass Effect 3 and a little bit in Andromeda, where you can basically just romance anybody as either male or female shepherd.
See, but that's kind of what I mean about Schrodinger's gay as being the best way to handle it, because then if it doesn't make sense to you for that relationship,
right,
you don't pursue it, and it doesn't exist in your version.
It keeps them from feeling like actual realized individuals, and just makes me realize, oh yeah, I'm playing a power fantasy, and this is just something for me to have. Rather than...
I feel that's a lot on the player, rather than the...
Possibly, and I realize that might just be my personal feeling about that. Which you and I have very different feelings about how games should handle the power fantasy aspect.
Well, I think it depends on the game.
It really does.
To a large degree.
Speaking of people who should probably be romanceable by either male or female shepherd, Thane.
Didn't have him.
Really?
He was DLC?
No, he's not.
He is, but he's DLC that comes with the game. But...
Thane Krios, the Drell assassin?
Yeah, isn't he?
No.
Isn't he the one that comes with the... When you got Mass Effect 2... You got a DLC with it, but I think it was that one, the one that with Thane.
No, he's the assassin. He's part of the core. He's part of the core group.
Well, I didn't do shit with him then.
Really?
Apparently.
I love Thane personally. I think.
Who was it with Mass Effect 2? What DLC was it?
There were only two DLC characters from Mass Effect 2. There was Kasumi and there was Zahid.
Zahid. That's the one I didn't have.
Zahid I love as a character.
Sorry, I mixed up Zahid and Thane.
No, it's fine. Thane, the Drell assassin, he's the one that...
I didn't really do anything with him.
He's a really great exploration into the idea of morality and whether or not you do bad things because someone told you to do them or because you do them for yourself. He very much views himself not as... He sees himself as an instrument, a extension of whoever wields him. He doesn't have a real sense of being a person. And part of his journey in Mass Effect 2 is he is dying of this sickness that his people have.
I remember that.
Yeah. And he's
now you say that.
Coming to grips with this, with his life and what he's done or not done with it.
Yeah, I barely remember.
Really, I'm kind of surprised at this. I thought you would have been interested in Thane as a character.
I really couldn't tell you why.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird because I thought that I remembered it being that he was with the DLC.
This is very strange.
Yeah.
No, he's core group. I consider him an A tier character because there's a lot of great exploration into morality, into a sense of why do you do what you do with Thane.
Maybe I didn't get him till after I already had Morden and Tali, and at that point I didn't switch anybody else into the party.
Yeah, you do get him on the second half after you investigate. I want to say Harvest, but that's wrong. That's Halo. You go and see Ashley or Caden, depending on who you save. I usually save Ashley, but again, just because I think her overcoming her prejudices and biases to becoming a more realized individual.
So that second playthrough of Mass Effect 1 that I did play through, I was intending to. I did it when Mass Effect 2 was out, after my first playthrough of 2, I want to say. And I had wanted to, I did actually romance Ashley and save Caden instead of Ashley. Because I wanted to see how that would turn out.
There's fundamentally no real difference.
Yeah, well, I was hoping that there would be something. And of course, but I only played through 1.
Right.
Again. But like that could have been a really interesting narrative. Where your Shepard romances Ashley, but also realizes that she's not very important to the mission, and makes a command decision, to leave her behind. I thought that's some good pathos,
right?
Right there.
Which they kind of play with a little in 3, but by then it's like too little, too late. I think. But anyway, Thane I think is an A tier character. I think there's a lot of great emotional weight with him, and the idea of legacy and what you leave behind after you're gone.
His legacy, his loyalty mission has something to do with his son, right?
Yes.
Keeping his son out of the same path or whatever. I can't remember if I actually played through that or just have heard about it.
I think it's the weakest of the loyalty missions, because a lot of it is just running around on a catwalk listening to this slimy politician go around talking about how xenophobia is good. Remember the days when that was a fantasy? Yeah, I'm just gonna, since you apparently don't have any recollection of him, and I have great fondness.
I remember him existing, I guess, but
I'm gonna say A tier, but we can argue this later. Udina.
I'm gonna go B.
Yeah, no, I'd say the same. He's a decent enough foil to Anderson, but he never quite rises up to the point where he's a credible threat to anything. This is the Turian from Andromeda. She's fine. Rex. Rex is an S tier character. Fight me.
I did not find Rex to be an S tier character.
You... I shouldn't be surprised, Mr. I said the genophage was fine.
I would say Rex is an A.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
Okay. I can be persuaded for an argument for A. I might argue this later because, again, really love Rex. Last but certainly not least, Zahid.
Didn't have him.
You didn't have him. I had him. I love Zahid. He is that perfect blend of seedy scuzziness with just enough morality spliced into him that he's not going to be the cold-hearted kill everyone because they cross you bastard. Like, he's got morals and standards, but at the same time he's perfectly willing to blow an entire squad of people out an airlock if it makes him laugh a little bit. Now, that might just be because he's being practical and said, I don't want to fight these guys, I'm just going to shoot them out this airlock here, and then he's going to laugh as they pop. But, yeah, I think Zahid is a wonderful addition to the Mass Effect roster. Plus, I forget his voice actor, but he's been in a few things, and he's always got that same raspy Aussie accent. It really hurts my throat to do it, but... He sounds a little like this, and I've got a soft spot for him. Yeah, I think he's definitely an A-tier character. Especially as far as side characters go that are completely unnecessary. Mm-hmm. He adds a really great spice to it. Plus, his DLC came with the best weapon in the game. You get the Matic assault rifle.
It's weird because I played a soldier, but I really didn't care about weapons.
Oh, I cared very much about the guns. I I will go through and I will spec each character to a specific weapon. And be like, okay, this makes sense for you to carry, this doesn't make sense for you to have. Bump my keyboard, that doesn't matter. But yeah, I think Zahid's really great. And that brings us to the end of our list. Which means, quick reevaluation. Do we have anybody we want to shuffle around? I'm trying to think.
Well, I think you mostly deferred to me where we differed.
We differed a few. Rex.
So it'll be on you to...
The more I think about it, the more I think you're right with an A-tier character for Rex. I love Rex as a character. There's just something about his archetype that I enjoy having him on the team. I like it when I like his stories when he's on the ship. He's got a reason. He's got a really good reason to be the way he is. He's not just that gruff, angry individual who's angry for like literally no reason. Like there's very, very justifiable and good reasons for him to be as pissed off at everything and just done with everybody else's shit that he is.
See, I feel like he really only became that angry like towards the end of Mass Effect 1. Like before Vermeer, you know, he I think he just doesn't care. Like he's totally like shut down.
Yeah.
Like he's not even angry. He's just, here I am.
Something ignites in him on Vermeer and he realizes, shit, I can't just go coasting through existence. And again, I think that his story is, I don't want to say as good as Tali or Morden's, but I definitely think that he goes through enough of a character arc that by the time you finish Mass Effect 3 with him, he has become a much different character than what he was before.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true.
And as much as I love Garrus kind of starts and ends in the same place. He has a really great peak in the middle of it. Personally, I think his Mass Effect 2 arc as Archangel and his loyalty mission are one of my favorites. Because it confronts that morally gray atmosphere and the concept of revenge being something that drives you, but ultimately being unfulfilling, which I think few games tackle well. Like, even as a primary antagonist, or protagonist, like, that concept of revenge being what's fueling you isn't done super well. Like, the best one I think would be Ezio in Assassin's Creed 2.
I mostly remember that game for the immensely satisfying beating up the Pope with your fists.
That's the end of Assassin's Creed 2.
Right. I know, but like...
And at the end of it, he has him on his knees and he realizes... He comes to two realizations. One, what he is doing is simply playing into the Templar's hands. And if he does kill him, all he's doing is fulfilling a system. And part of what he's learned as a member of the Assassins is that you do not have to be a part of these systems. You can rise beyond them.
Of course, the very next game starts with him and his whole family and his whole city paying the price for not killing.
No, there is arguments to be made that certain things will have repercussions, but I feel like that was going to happen no matter what he did. So, like, if he killed the Pope, he's not going to replace the Pope. Like, obviously, they're going to retaliate against him. And
I mean, somebody might have.
Personally, I like Assassin's Creed 2 and its two sequels.
No, I do too. I
think they're very good. But we're not talking about Assassin's Creed. Fuck, what were we talking about?
I'm just saying it's fun to beat up old people with your fists.
This is true.
And I want to be on record on that.
Also, maybe potential pedophiles?
I mean,
he is Catholic, so, I mean... but yeah, I think Rex... I think Rex's story arc definitely puts him in a better tier than Garrus. As much as I love Garrus, he definitely is start and finish basically in the same place. Like Garrus is a little more world weary. He's got a lot more knowledge, but ostensibly he comes to the same spot he was before he went with Shepard.
Yeah, I do. I feel like Garrus would have had a more satisfying. His story would have been more satisfying if in Mass Effect 3, instead of him coming back and being part of Shepard's crew again, if he had basically had his own crew like he did as Archangel that was doing,
Don't do that.
Don't do what?
It's Archangel.
Okay.
No, we're not going to gloss over this shit. That is a bastardization of the English language. Archangels aren't a thing.
Bastardize the English language. It is itself already a bastard.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway,
yeah, personally, I'm going to move Rex up into an S tier because personally, I think his personal journey and where he finishes, makes him, I think makes the character arc a little more rounded and fulfilled. Just personally. So I'm going to move Rex up to here.
But yeah, if Garrus had basically had a similar mission and ship and crew as Shepard in Mass Effect 3 and was doing things, like maybe some things got accomplished by Garrus while you were doing some other stuff.
You know, that I didn't think about that, but that actually would have made a very interesting parallel, and you could see where Shepard's influence has rubbed off on now Garrus being almost borderline a Spectre in everything but name, and leading his own squad and group, and basically just being kind of doing what Riker should have done after the Best of Both Worlds. But, yeah, okay, I'm happy with everybody else in A tier, except Conrad Werner. I still want him, I want him gone. I want him in D tier. But you apparently like him enough, and you made a persuasive argument about his emotional impact.
I mean, he's a fun idiot. I don't know what else to tell you.
I don't know. Maybe I might feel differently if I play it again now, because it has been a number of years since I played. But I just remember this deep, guttural feeling of hatred whenever Conrad Werner came on screen. I was just like, shut up and leave. I don't want to deal with your bullshit. I have a galaxy to save. And what am I doing? Oh, you're cosplaying as me. Great. And you're trying to...
Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Is that why no one imitates me?
It might be.
It might be. Okay. I'm happy with Benezia, Chakwas, Edie. I could be persuaded for Hackett going higher, but yeah, he definitely sits comfortably where he is. Javik, again, I understand why he's where he is. Like, if he were deliberately included in Mass Effect 1, I definitely think you would have had an interesting time with him, because it definitely explores the idea of what you've had as preconceived notions of the Prothean Empire, and actually getting to see what one of them is like. Sure. And him basically being like, yeah, none of this is correct. You're horribly mistaken.
It's like that Dutch taxidermy lion, right?
Yeah. Happy with Joker, Carl Rieger, Al Jelani, Kirhi, Liara, Luceman. Luceman belongs in B. Like, he's not a terrible villain, but why do I have the Elusive Man up there twice?
I thought we had done him twice.
We do have him up there twice. He's in C and B. I don't know what the fuck.
How did he end up in C?
I don't know. Can I not? Fine, fuck off. All right.
I definitely think he should be in B rather than C. I think.
All right. Well, I'm going to put this Elusive Man. This is the Elusive Man from Mass Effect 3. He okayed Kai Lang. Okay. So he belongs in the Kai Lang territory. And yeah, we'll bump him up to a B. Now we're both happy. Yeah, only two real characters rise above D tier for Mass Effect Andromeda, just because basically one, their voice actor, and two, I like the Krogans a lot. Happy. I could see an argument for Arya being made into a B tier character, but not enough is done with her. The council is pretty well interchangeable. I don't know. I think the council might be too high up. I think the council might be D tier.
C might be too high?
I think the council are...
Let me ask this. What was their significant defect that would make them a D?
The fact that there isn't a lot more to them than being obstructionist.
I feel like similar charges could be leveled at almost everyone in C. That's why they're in C.
This is true.
There's just not a lot to them.
This is true. Yeah, I could be persuaded to go to D personally, but whatever. Both the Reapers that we meet on screen, personally, again, I feel Sovereign is a little bit more than Harbinger, but that just comes down to personal semantics. Jacob, James, Jenkins, all of them can stay in C. I don't really care about any of them. Again, James Vega might be a little higher on my list. But again, he doesn't really impact the plot very much. Like, even disregarding my little tangent on Freddie Prinze Jr. But... God, now I'm reminded of Wing Commander. Fuck me. Yeah, no, he belongs in C. He's fine. Kasumi, again, fine. I'm not a huge fan of her archetype, character-wise. She has that air of, like, she's too cool for the room, and... While her powers are interesting, like, she goes down way too quickly. But at the same time, her character doesn't really reflect somebody who would play cautiously. Which, I guess you could level that against most of the AI in Mass Effect 2. Like, even the characters that are meant to hang back and be more power users are very aggressive with their run and gun tactics.
Well, let's not get started talking about the mechanics of Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, no, we'll make this even longer than it is. Caden, I'm fine with. Kelly, I'm fine with. Miranda, I could be argued for Miranda being a B tier character for somebody who like really, really liked her. Personally, she never hit right for me.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think she's as boring because there is that interesting aspect of her. Like, if they were to bring into her personality questioning whether or not she is as good as she says she is, or is she just playing off of the genetically engineered aspect of herself?
There's interesting stuff there. It just doesn't get...
It doesn't do anything
handled.
With it. Yeah.
Like, it's like they put the seeds out there, like, ooh, this will be interesting stuff to play with, and then they
never do anything with it, yeah. But yeah, Ryder twins, just because they're the main characters, they're fine. Again, you could make the argument for the Shepherd not being on there. The Ryder shouldn't be on there either because they kind of are meant to embody the player in their actions, but like, I don't remember too much about them. Like, you actually have the other sibling as a character in the game. You can talk to them occasionally.
Yeah.
So, like, they're an actual character.
I don't know that I like that.
It's not quite antithetical to how the main character of Mass Effect ought to work, I think, but I think they don't do enough with it. Like, the other character is basically sidelined for nearly half the game. And so I think it would have been interesting having them as like a squad mate. Like, you get to customize them and everything. It's really kind of weird. D list, I'm happy with D. I'll accept the Asari from Andromeda. Her introduction really rubbed me the wrong way. And I basically left her on the ship. And this was after I went through, because I love Samara. I love Liara. Morinth has a special place in my heart just because of what she can represent. But like, I got there, I'm like, all right, the other is sorry. Oh, you almost killed me? Now you're just gonna gloss over it and say it's fine? Fuck you! You're staying on the ship, bitch. I'm not upgrading your gun either. And yeah, Kai Lang and the Elusive Man from Mass Effect 3 belong there. Do you have anybody you want to change around?
No, I think that's not far from... Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. Those are our personal listings, and off to the side is the shepherds, because they are meant to represent the player character, and honestly, we can't judge you for what you decide to put in.
We can, and I will.
Well, obviously we can and will, but like right now we can't judge anybody for it because we don't know them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
but if that ever changes,
once we know you, we will judge you very harshly. By the way, so all right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. This was fun.
Yeah,
I'm glad I got to do this with you. We might have to do more stuff.
Thanks for inviting me to do so, Sean.
Not a problem. We'll see you back here next time, everybody. Laters.